Hi, good evening or good morning or wherever you're at. My name is Matt Perez. My partner Jose Leal is in Portugal right now and he's probably having dinner or sleeping or something. So I think I'm going to be in this one alone. And today we have our guest about Baidas, and he's going to tell us about his business, and then we'll try to figure out how it aligns with radical concepts and stuff like that. But we're talking a little bit in behind the scenes, and it seems like we're in the right path here. So Abad, Abed, thank you for coming, and thank you for making time. And why don't you start by telling us about your business and the extent of it and stuff?
Thank you for inviting me this evening. I appreciate this opportunity to have this conversation or this discussion. Uh, my name is Abid Baidas, as it's appearing. I'm the founder of Identity Branding Forum, a company that started in 2007 to build the culture of branding in the Arab world that became today its Arabic name synonymous with every project that runs in the region for branding. And throughout my life, I've been just known to be a very, very disruptive mind. I like changes. I like challenges. I come heads on with challenges. Years ago, a very good friend of mine, he used to enjoy coming to my office, telling me for just one reason, because he liked to see my optimism, and and to him, I'm like a bulldog. When I put my teeth into something, I don't let go until I finish with it. And it's true to my nature. Traveled the world from the UK in '76 when I went to college to finish my A level. To the United States, to Brazil when we used to own a chicken slaughterhouse in my very early years. Samsung Company Limited, which is Samsung today, where uh, my company's agent representing us for with the tenders that's running for the National Korean Livestock Federation, the building of their livestock. So, been fortunate throughout my life with the experiences that I have been exposed to, the different cultures that I have traveled, the nature of the leaders that I've been dealing with. Just is I cannot say anything but very blessed with it. And when I started with the identity branding forum, because there was something missing, especially in the Arab world, the Middle East, Africa, Asia, in a number of countries around the world. We talk about branding, we talk about the differentiations, the logos, and the likes, but we didn't even very much touch the culture behind a brand, how to build
Mhm.
that mentality that aligns with it. We had masterminds in branding behind the certification program that made us to be the we're and we still the only organization in the world that offers branding certification for professionals that would complete it for 5 years and keep refreshing it with that experiences. Licensed to a number of universities worldwide. And this is in brief where what we about our identity branding forum, and being positioned or stationed in Dubai today makes me very, very uh, optimistic in terms of the things that we are allowed to do, the freedom of building the things, and where the world all over is coming to Dubai. We are interactive, we are learning new things, and able to do a lot of things that I will be sharing some of them with you this evening.
Okay.
Thank you, Matt, for the opportunity.
Well, thank you. So what does the branding identity branding firm do? Does it build branding for the people, or does it give advice, or what is
We
it?
do. Okay, we do a number of things. Identity branding, we started as a service provider for branding services to politicians, to individuals, to companies, to communities, cities, education institutions. And that's a focus. And then we expanded when we realized there is a gap nobody else is filling, which is into the training and the certification, executive trainings and programs for high-level companies and leaders in those companies. We also we saw a huge gap into building disruptive, sustainable brands, and that really led me to really start searching the different protocols, the different models that exist around the world. And the last of it was the SDG, or the Sustainable Development Goals of the United Nations, that most countries or most companies are trying to pursue. And I didn't find that enough, meaning that it deals with the side effects, like, for example, poverty. It's a side effect. What causes poverty?
Right.
It deals with the violence. Okay, that's a side effect. What causes violence? It deals with poor education, but what leads to it? Youth or kids' prosperities and the likes all over. So when you go through the 17 of them, you're looking at the causes or the side effects of the real causes, while the real causes are not addressed. So I didn't see a real value, and that's why we haven't really moved much anywhere in the world. So I started searching with that, and the basically is to found my pursuit is in a verse in the Quran, which is actually broken down individual's life cycle into four parts: weak to powerful to weak to wise, basically. And when I started creating the understanding what should an individual from birth to the 18 years old, weak, being dependent on everybody, should learn how to be progressing. So we started looking at what the environment to be created for that kid before coming to life, and what
Hmm.
happens from day 1 to 3 years, from 3 years to 8 years when they start going into society, from 8 years to 11 years. That's when they started going out to the schools and into the higher market, and then from 12 years to 18 years, and they start framing up their future and their ambition, what they're having, from 18 years to 40 years, and on. So that helped allowed me to create a sustainable human development protocol, meaning that when the person is growing, it creates a new opportunities and new demands and new needs. That's disruption. That's where I found the disruptions. And when you connect companies, our clients or our trainees, to people's lifelong journey, that's when we were able to really creating a real meaningful sustainability. So now we're providing that protocol, the training for companies for sustainability. So these are the services that we provide as an identity branding forum.
So it sounds like you have a process and you have training associated with that based on this verse of the Quran. And it's really the life cycle of a person.
Correct.
Okay. And you said something in passing. I don't know where you said it, but it resonated to me because um, you were talking about roots, going back to the root of things. It's what
Yes.
causes that? What causes this? What causes the other? And the reason we use the word radical in our way of describing a system, and it's a system, there may be many, is radical going back to roots, not radical as we want to kill people or anybody,
Sure.
although sometimes I feel like it, but um, going back to the roots. So we were talking earlier backstage on the fiat, the system we live now, we call fiat. And fiat is because I say so. That's it. Move that box from here to there because I say so. But really, what's behind that order is the thread of force. And what's behind that force is the thread of pain. And so you're talking kind of about the same thing. So how does knowing, okay, how's being lectured on that art um, make a difference on people? It doesn't. I mean, people can listen to it and go, yeah, and pass the test, but that's it. they don't get anything. So how do you manage to do it otherwise?
Okay, how we mastered it the other way, just like you said, the fiat model is what's being forced upon people. The SDGs, for example, model that everybody trying to be forced to it, to find at the end it's not working. Nothing is going
Yes.
to happen. We try to follow the World Forum, Economic Forum's indicators. Okay, these are models and examples of somebody's else, because what works for Microsoft is not going to work for me in Dubai, for example, as
Exactly.
a small individual,
Exactly.
or what works for other people. So we try to mimic other leaderships, not being ourselves. So we're trying to copy everybody, but really not unleash what we really want. And to get to do that, this is where I started looking at a different customers. For example, years ago when we went into the chicken business, our major competitors were pursuing the mom and dad that goes to the supermarkets to make a decision what chicken they want to buy. Okay, and what we did back then is really we targeted a different type of a client, kids. So we designed our chicken bags targeting kids. We had the Roadrunner coming out of an egg. Back then in the 80s, it was very popular cartoon show. To this day, still my favorite. Still being my hero. But anyway, so and that actually helped to get our chicken home, because mom and dad don't care what chicken they want to buy, as long as the kid wants that bird coming out of that on that bag coming home with them. So we started really focusing here in terms of the trying to start seeing really how to find that client, that little client, the little power, or what I call it, the power of littles, to really take me home to these people. So we started today. What we've done with the Sustainable Human Development Protocol is to look at the solutions differently. When everybody is focusing on what expert is going to be doing something, well, I realized, especially after the COVID-19 pandemic, that what I knew, or if I'm an expert of something by 12 o'clock at noontime,
Mm.
I'm no longer that expert by 12 o'clock in the morning, because the new ideas just came out faster and spread all over the internet faster than I can
Yes.
learn
Indeed.
new things. So there is no experience. There is nobody is an expert. So I eliminated the process in a lot of my mind that nobody is an expert except one person. That one person is the one who is free of biases. And I couldn't find that in business. I couldn't find that in colleges, absolutely. Where can I find that? And I found that in kids, little kids, youth. Years ago, very popular fashion designer consultant, he used to tell me when they want to get their ideas, they go to kids. They get their imagination unleashed. How do they think? How do they want to see their mom and dad dressed? How do they see their teachers dressed? So they picked up those little ideas from them. So what we have done through Talents of Endearment, we created the Talents of Endearment platform, a dynamic platform that actually focus on enabling youth to empower business. So we reversed the way we have been addressing it, or reviewing youth. We have been really underestimating their capabilities, their minds, the ideas that they can produce to the world. They have been really, we talk about them, but we really never gave them any considerations what they think they want to do, how they see addressing the problems. And we talk about them being the future, but actually they are eliminating about anything being considered for the future,
Right. Right.
preparing them. So what we have done through Talents of Endearment, they created the platform that actually create an open space, free of all biases, no textbooks, no experts. Nobody's an expert in that platform, where youth kids from high school level to college, where they are able to come in, freely interact with others from around the world, to collaborate, crowdsource ideas, and
Mm.
actually freely work on those ideas and bring them out with the full supports that we will give them. And then we grew with that to the points where, well, how do we take it? How do we help them leverage it? Okay, so we help them leveraging it by the experiences they learn on two things, two services that they'll provide: discovering big ideas out of box for companies or third parties, as a third party, and solving market challenges. from their own perspectives, because how we help them to get connected, connected to people, to the community, to businesses, engaged with them to understand their aspirations and actually work their imaginations, finding out the ideal solutions from their own perspective,
Hmm.
giving them a chance to talk. So we became that platform that allows youth from all over the world to really be themselves, to think themselves, and to have that opportunity to actually make a living through another platform we created to complete the program. They
So
can actually become solicitor.
does that
Yes, go
work
ahead.
with adults? Can you
It
bring
works for
adults
adults,
into the
yes.
platform? Okay.
Correct. We created another platform called the TEPSI, or the Talents of Endearment Smart Business Entrepreneurship, that actually goes into companies, that allows them to start learning how to interact with the market, to connect to the market, to engage, to start figuring out people's aspirations, and how to actually leverage, helping companies to leverage employees, relationships, community relationships, to actually start finding out what the market really is about, what is the
So
expectations of that market.
an interesting thing as you were talking, um, because I'm very much of the same. I've been saying that for a long time. The kids, the thing that kids bring to the fore is playfulness. Kids learn by playing with things, and
Absolutely.
you write this way with this step, but they suck on this step and they turn around. They play with the thing and they go, no, it only writes this way. Now they know it. They really know it, right? And the problem, and what we do in schools, unfortunately, is take that out, tear that out of there. It's like, no, 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 you're not here to play, you're here to be serious. And when we get adults out of the schools, out of college in particular, um, people no longer respect the idea of playfulness. They think it's for kids, and I don't do that. And when the boss says jump, you say how high. You don't ask which way to jump or how to jump, or should I do it with both legs or one legs or whatever. So playfulness is really, really important. And
Absolutely.
I'm heart and soul with you that it's really important. And I'm going to plug some of our thinking here. And the problem with businesses today, and you're solving some of that problem by kind of sneaking your way in, but the problem with business today is that they take themselves too seriously, and they don't allow play. For the most part, they don't allow play, and
Absolutely.
they're I call them their business hospitals practices. And one of the business hostel practice is that they don't allow play, they don't allow learning, they don't allow any of those things. It's just do what you're told for the most part. Just do as you're told. There's few people that get to do different things, but eventually they get fired. And that's very much against what business is all about, which is to trade and create things and stuff like that. Um, so yeah, indeed, we're along the same lines. You so the other thing that you mentioned that that could be understood out of this is change. You think
Mhm.
change is good?
Absolutely. You see,
Okay.
like Einstein said, he's a man of curiosity. He lived his life being curious about things. And like you said, with kids, love to play things. They don't just love to play with things. They are curious, actually, to learn things. When if they hold a plate of eggs, for example, not because they want to break it, because they want to figure out what it is they are learning. It's their nature. This is how they are created, and we kill that in them when we start telling them, no, no, don't do that. Just like you said, we reduce their level of intelligence and engagement with the things that they touch in their life, because us being responsible for it. There is a number of studies back then. Is the level of intelligence of a kid by the age of 3 is 97%. By the time they hit college and graduate college, this went down. Why is that? Because we tell them this is how you should be doing this.
Yeah.
Uh, Funny, I want to share one funny story. A friend of mine is telling me, he was in college, and he went to his instructor telling him, asking him for the notes for the class that he missed to prepare for the exam. And the professor told him, and he says, "Why don't you borrow it from one of your friends?" He says, "No, because normally they don't copy everything. I just want to learn to copy it, and I'll bring it back to you in the morning." And he said, "Fine, but make sure you bring it back in the morning." So he brought it back. Comes the exam. He finished the exam very quickly in less than an hour. And when the results comes out, everybody got their marks except him. And he says, "See the teacher." He says, "What did I do wrong?" Okay, the guy did everything was in the notes. So he goes back to his teacher and he says, "Where did you get your answers from?" He says, "What do you mean?" He says, "I didn't teach this in class." He says, "Yeah, I got it from your notes." He says, "No, it wasn't in my notes." He says, "Yes, it was in your notes. The shortcuts were in your notes." So the professor looked back in his notes. It's actually, it was there. It just was used to something that it's trying to force on people. And this is exactly the problem, even in the education system all over the world. You got to do this and you got to do this. Years ago, I was in a master class I was teaching in media. And when I walked into the class, I didn't have books, I didn't have nothing. It was actually based on modern learning methodologies. The name of the class was Media Planning, Buying, and Management. And the students, one of the students raised their hands and says, "Sir, are you going to give us the syllabus?" I says, "Yeah, I'll give it to you." But I had no syllabus, I had no papers, nothing, no books. And they started talking to the students. They're all media people. Okay, 13 students there. And then he comes, raises his hand again. He says, "Sir, I don't see any paper. Are you going to give us any syllabus?" I says, "Why do you need a syllabus?" He says, "To know how to pass the exam." He says, "Is that what you're here? Is that what you're here for?" He says, "No, I want to benefit." He says, "Let's have an agreement." And ask everybody else why they're in the class. I says, "Let's have an agreement, unwritten agreement." And there was a professor actually being trained. And I said, from the beginning of this semester to the end of it, I promise not to give you one single piece of paper, and you will not give me one single piece of paper. And these are the 3 reference books, but I don't advise you to buy them. Completely disruptive. Completely disruptive. I mean, it threw their brains. The guys, he says, "What kind of a freak is coming to teach us here for the semester?" And they're in master's class. And you follow what I'm the way I'm going through this class, and everybody will get the marks that they desire. 3 of them wanted to drop out, but they convinced to stay to complete the class with me. Ended up, they developed the projects around the ideas that they developed in the class. The Jordan television, for example, that wasn't in Jordan, that was run, actually adopted a program that was developed by a director that was in my class, with the idea that came out with the class. And all what it based about is asking questions around the topic and let them discuss how to frame it. So they became actually the authors of the ideas they come up with. This is modern learning. Okay, this is what we'll call disruptive learning. When you hand over the masterhood from the teacher to the students, and you just become a guide. This is a problem in education system where when we talk about the schools or colleges, when we still think we are the professors, we are the masters, the students have to follow what we say. And if we start changing that, giving them a chance to be the masters of the ideas that they produce, that's when we really start change in the whole economic system, social systems,
So
universally.
let me jump in there because indeed schools are very much a fiat hierarchy. It's the guy at the
Absolutely.
top. I say Dubai is in Africa, and Dubai is in Africa. And the way to pass the test is to say Dubai is in Africa. And Dubai is not in Africa, by the way. But so what made you this way? The hair fall, or what made you?
Actually, the hair fall is a result of what got me here. I love people, and I love change. Traveling throughout the world, I see a lot of kids, especially in Latin America. I see a lot of poor kids living in the streets, in Asia, in Africa, and the numbers of the growing numbers of pains, like you said it earlier, of unopportunistic youth around the world. You're talking about in the billions. it's not a small number. 38% of the world population of youth are really have no hope to go to. When you go to countries like Jordan, Lebanon, Egypt, uh, even a number of other European countries, the biggest problems actually they're facing, or the time bombs everybody's facing, is how to deal the future of youth
Yeah.
worldwide. When you start seeing the number of high school dropouts worldwide, it's frightening numbers. Nobody would believe to know it ranges between the 80% to 90%.
But that's you as an adult.
That's also
What
that's
kept?
including youth. Let talk about youth.
No, but I'm saying what kept that playfulness in you? I mean, you're very playful with everything you say, and so what caused that? I mean,
What caused that is I saw that if I want to create a change, I really need to go to where the change is. Who can create the change? The people who are free of biases, who are not limited to, hey, this is the way it is, this is the book, I got to do it by the playbook. No, when I was in college, I was never really a good book reader. really, I never really liked to. I cheated a lot when I was in college because I didn't like to follow what has to be. I have to do it the way that the master wants to do it, so I have to do it to pass
yeah.
the exam, basically. So in order to create a change, I had to look for an environment where it's free of biases. I couldn't find it in an experts because experts are limited to the standards they created. They are
But
proud about it and they get paid for it.
but again, that's you as a college students. What came before? Because
What came?
the image that we have of the Arab world, and caveat, I'm half Arab, so um, the image that we have of the Arab world is that it's very strict and
Oh,
dictatorships
I
and all
see.
this other
I,
crap. So what happened to you?
I was very opportunistic to travel the world when I was young. From the
So that
point when
made a
I was young,
difference. That made a difference. The traveling.
absolutely, it got me exposed to a number of things. I was very. I come from a very affluent family. We were living in Kuwait. That's a different culture. Went to the UK, went to the United States, went to Brazil, to Latin America, went to Asia. I traveled the world. I saw different cultures. I get flavored. I felt the pains of the unfortunate people in those countries around the world,
Hmm.
especially kids. So I got more attached to the pains of the kids than adults, basically,
Yeah.
because kids are helpless, and yet they are very powerful, and nobody's giving them that opportunity and the chance. So what got
Yeah.
me closer there, because I love to help people. I love to touch the lives of people. And one story actually that is stayed with me and helped maybe to frame that. I was in Brazil years ago, back in the 1982. We walked into a store called Dunkin' Donuts. Okay, and with a partner of mine back then, and there was a little kid sleeping by that door, 11 years old.
Hmm.
Okay, or 11 to 12 years old, sleeping literally in the middle of in the afternoon. Walked in, came out, and the kids were still sleeping there. So I decided to walk back into the shop, picked up a couple of dozens of donuts, and he came out and put them next to the kid. I didn't wake the kid up because I didn't want to disrupt his peace, and walked a little bit of a distance and stood there and watched what
Oh,
is going to happen.
yeah.
And what happened then, people passing by looking, there's two bags of donuts sitting next to little kids, and he's not awake. He doesn't even know the fortune next to his head, basically. An older gentleman walks by and stood by his head, watching it. And my friend is telling me, let's walk. You already did what you did. I says, no, I want to watch what's going to happen. If somebody takes it, I'm going to go back and buy some more. But I gotta see how this kid is gonna react to something that he didn't ask for. And the older gentleman wake up this kid, point to the bags, and the next thing that I saw will never fade my memory. The kid looks in there, the most beautiful smile you could ever see in your life. But this is not what made me feel great about what I have done. Is when he took few of those donuts out of the bag and gave it to the older gentleman. close the bags, and run. From that day, when I made a promise that I'm going to do something to help change the lives of youth worldwide. Wherever I can touch their life, I'm going to do it. And this is what really kept me going with this in my mind until I had the opportunity with Identity Branding Forum to really get to do something about it for them.
That's a beautiful story, and indeed very meaningful. Very meaningful.
Thank you.
It's the sharing. You first you share it with him, and then he shared with the older gentleman, and then realized the fortune that he had in his hand. Dunkin' Donuts in 1982 in Brazil. That's interesting.
Yes. This is
So
this is actually where I started having my passion for kids, because I saw this kid was able to create a happy moment for that older gentleman
yes,
by giving him that chance.
yeah, no, it's heart touching, and the fact. Okay, so I'll tell you a Brazil story. So I was the founder of a company in 2007 that started as a self-managed company. We still don't have any management or hierarchy or anything, almost. And that was based on the writing of a Brazilian, Ricardo Semler. And he wrote that book in 1989 or something. Actually, it might have been around 82. So it something came out of there as well that touched me and led me to this thing. And the company is like 900 people now, and it's still no managers, no hierarchy, no anything like that. And the reason I said almost is because indeed my partner and I were the owners of the company. So ownership is a very interesting thing. It's the right to exclude other people from the profits and this and that. And that's something else that we want to change with Radical. We want to introduce co-ownership. And co-ownership means the people that create the wealth, the people that make those donuts and can make somebody else happy with it, are the owners. And they decide what to sell or give it or whatever it is. But a lot of the problems of this world would go away if you gave everybody their own power, not equal power. I don't believe in equal powers. I'm Cuban born, and I don't believe in equal power. And but power based on contributions, not based on whether your parents were well off and mine weren't, and the other guys were, and that's happy. I'm happy for you, but it's a lucky thing, right? Um, and but contributions, everybody can contribute. Like you say, kids can contribute more than adults because adults are already restricted, but kids are still a little bit fluid, and those contributions should be acknowledged and made tangible and celebrated and all those things. So thank you for your time, and thank you for everything you brought to this thing. Is what time is it? It's a little bit past 10:30. I think we can let it go there for a beautiful story, and I get to announce next week's guest is Leo Raymond, CEO of Eden Lab, and there he is. He looks like the guy from one of the TV shows. And anyways, we're going to find out how he relates to the crazy ideas that we have. By the way, in my case, the experience of self-management, the experience of seeing people organize themselves and kind of break out of of that box that they learned to live in, gave me hope and led me to a lot of the ideas, and my co-writers to a lot of the ideas that's in that book. And I'm obligated to say that book is called Radical Companies Without Bosses or Employees. and there's another book coming up, but get that one. And you can go to radicalcompanies.com and get the book for nothing if you want to. But but indeed, it came out of watching people. In other words, they're not forever burned into that box. They're not forever limited. But if you take some of the fear away, then they can expand back to being playful and learning more and things like that. So there's hope, and you gave me hope. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. Well, hope is always there. I mean, as long as we know exactly where it is that we really need to take care of it, helping kids be themselves.
Yes,
Le- they will actually be the ones who's going to help us, and they're the ones going to be changing the future.
yes,
And it's
indeed,
happening, and it's already happening. And with
indeed.
the limitations, with the few limited economic opportunities available to them in most big urban cities around the world, you're going to see those kids moving away to rural areas, creating their own beehives, using technologies at their disposal, because and they are much better at using them than you and I
Yeah,
are, to create their own economic future, to create their own economic communities. We're going to see a lot of change happening in the future,
yeah,
because we still hasn't really put a greater emphasis on youth, on little kids, and how to take advantage of the opportunities they can create for us, and we're still limiting them. They're gonna take it away from us, and they will be the one who is gonna take control of their own destiny in the future by moving away from the urban cities and rural areas, and it's already happening worldwide.
yeah. And things like the playfulness and the ideas and breaking the eggs to find out what eggs are. All that stuff should be part of their. It's wealth that we inherit. The whole community of people, and that should be celebrated and should be made tangible for the future.
Abs-
They shouldn't be sleeping in the street if they can contribute, and they can contribute. Every human being can contribute. So
Absolutely.
I'm I find myself I figure I'm lucky to meet you. Sorry.
Same here. Thank you so much by bringing back a lot of good memories
Yeah, yeah.
that I have. Thank you so much for the opportunity, Matt.
Thank you.